Hi, this is part 3 of my introduction to Rammat Revealed. Okay. This is the first book I've put together since the death of my dad a little over a year ago. My dad was the on fire Christian in the family. He was the spiritual mentor, the pastor, the one who did all the Bible reading that would he was the one who did all the Bible reading and would bounce his theological ideas and theories off me and the family when he felt he found something important in the Bible. Due to greatly missing his humanist atheist dad, he lost when he was 22 years old. He found a handful of scriptures in the Bible that seemed to contradict the notion of an eternal punishment in hell. And to this day, such universal scriptures have pretty much made me who I am, for better or worse. Before Alzheimer's dementia got my dad, I say got him, but before Alzheimer's dementia got him, he loved my reading of my dialogues with Muslims that many of my ebooks have been published feature. Seeing him lose his mind, however, got me thinking of a lot of things. To me, he was a true Christian. To me, he was what a true Christian was. Yet, again, he lost his mind to the point where he thought Mom and I were actually planning on killing him. His paranoid fear and hatred of me got to the point where I'd try to fix the door to my bedroom in such a way where he wouldn't attack me in the middle of sleep. I asked him once for what gave him that idea, that Mom and I were planning to kill him, and he pointed into the air and said, Jesus. With that I said, well, I hate to say this, but if Jesus told you that, then Jesus is lying. He didn't like such a response from me, of course. Anyway, I was able to bring him back from near dementia death with turmeric and black pepper due to seeing a dramatic first-hand account of concentrated turmeric on an Alzheimer's patient I was taking care of a year before my dad began to rapidly lose his mind. Before the turmeric and black pepper treatment, it was believed that he only had days before he died from Alzheimer's dementia. He was actually in hospice care when I thought of the old lady who was always thinking of the house she lived in, yet would charge out of the she would charge out the door looking for the house she just charged out of, going west to look for it. I got the notion of the turmeric for my dad while thinking of her. Seeing him recover inspired me to write a book and publish a book about it, which I believe is still on Amazon, for I thought that if God allowed my dad to go through such humiliation, that maybe it was for a good reason. That maybe, possibly, it was so I could help other families and save their loved one from such humiliating and degrading decline, knowing all the while that they have nothing to be ashamed of for such a decline. The old lady who was always going west looking for the house she just left from was a very Christian type person, it seemed, even in her incredibly forgetful state. One thing is for sure, when you see God's boy, my dad, losing it, when you see someone who seemed to be so right with God getting crazy, you can come to the belief that you are not special in the eyes of God, that God really is no respecter of persons, and in the process you can think you're better than someone just because you aren't going through crap and they are. Yeah, because you're not going through crap and yet they are. With the decline and death of my dad, Whatever pride I might have still managed to have in myself and my beliefs went right out the window. They were definitely crushed out of me. No more feeling special or superior at all to anyone. But still, just in case such decline was planned for the benefit of others, I wrote that book in the hopes that it might again save other families from such a tragedy, even though my dad never really came back. When he did come back, there was no talk of being in heaven, like where I thought he might be, when he was on his deathbed. And he lost all interest in the Bible and anything involved deep thinking. I tried to improve his mind by getting him to play his favorite game, chess, which he used to really be good at. But since it involved thinking and planning, he was not having any of it. Yet he didn't seem depressed. He was a stranger to us, living in the moment. And when we told him he had cancer, he didn't bat an eye, didn't care at all. Didn't care at all. He just wanted to drink sugary Coke that reminded him of his early days in Mexico. Drink Coke and eat shellfish. It was the family that did the cancer fighting for him. Yeah. He had a terminal disease at the perfect time. A time where he was living in a moment and not, he was living in the moment and not caring about the future or thinking of anything deep or heavy. If he still actually thought the family was planning his death, he didn't care. Second childishness, I believe it's called. Because when you're a kid, you really don't seem to care about anything religious in spite of what Islam teaches about us all being born Muslim. I mean, I can remember all the way back to breastfeeding. I can remember all the way back to back to being breastfed, which must have been just days since my mom only let me try that for a few times after I was born. Guess what? I have no memory at that time and beyond of wanting to be on a prayer rug with my butt up in the air for Allah so I can get virgins should my mom accidentally drop me on my head and end it all for me there. To me, heaven was drinking out of a baby bottle and later playing in a small sandpit with toys my mom would drop out of the window to me next to the house. Nothing Islamic at all. Anyway, in my dad's spare time, all he wanted to do was see pretty girls on the internet or stare at a blank screen when the internet didn't work. I don't know if he was that way before he became demented or not when it came to the porn stuff. Perhaps so, I'm not sure. A few weeks before accusing the family of planning his death, he said he was evil, believing everyone was evil as well. When he came upon a bunch of CDs I was making, he thought they were my secret porn stash and said, "Hey, my son's like me. He's evil too." But the CDs were not porn. They were far worse. Well, to a Muslim they were far worse. For they contained videos of my fellow cyber crusaders David Wood, Sam Shamoon, Christian Prince, and others excellent exposed Islam that I would later place at locations where I thought they might grab attention, be played, and if instructions were carried out on them, upload to websites before the websites removed them for exposing Islam on a mass scale. Someday I might write a book about it, we'll see. In the 2 days after he died, Pictures fell off the wall. An ironing board fell over by itself, and his cello, which was very good at playing when he was of sound mind, made a loud ping sound inside its case. All seemingly paranormal, inside its case. Inside its case. After the ping inside his cello case, all seeming paranormal activity ceased. Perhaps his ghost was trying to let us know that he was afraid to go into the light. Perhaps it was a demon to make us think his ghost, to make us think his ghost was afraid to go into the light. Who knows? I can't say I'm better or worse person due to his death, just different. I'm still a Calvinist type Christian who doesn't believe in free will. I still believe we are all God's robots and toys. My dad, in his study of the Bible, would flip back and forth between believing in free will and believing in predestination. To me, it's been predestination all the way, not because I want to believe it, but because it seems totally scriptural. It seems scriptural to me, you know. Sure, I believe I'm one of God's robots or toys, especially after seeing my dad lose his mind, breaking down like an old mechanical robot losing RAM. When that happened to him, it pretty much sealed it for me. Predestination, no free will. Yeah. But if God loves his toys, I can live with that. I still have toys from the time I played with them, and even though I no longer play with them, I can't quite bring myself to throw them away due to the sentimental value of them. If you read The Velveteen Rabbit, you might know where I'm coming from. Speaking of being a plaything of God, if God is playing with us to the point of working all things, then that means God is behind coincidences. And the coincidences I've experienced were so profound that if God was behind them, man, I don't see how one can be. I don't see how you can believe in free will. I'll post a link to one coincidence I described on YouTube. Since the making of that video, I discovered another coincidence that was almost nearly as profound, and made a video detailing that one, but YouTube deleted it, even though it had nothing to do with Islam. Well, I still expose Islam while I can. I leave it up to God for how long. Enjoy this book if you can. It's mainly to let you know how the Quran and Hadith blow it, while at the same time letting you know how to possibly deprogram Muslims before they might come upon Quran 9:111. And, well, spread a deadly virus like the one going around as I write this, and I'm not talking about the coronavirus or the coronavirus. Muhammad tells Muslims that dying of plague is equal to dying a martyr in jihad. And that if Muslims skip prayer gatherings at the mosque, that they should have their houses, that they should have the houses of those Muslims burned down. You combine this with the dying of plague is equal to dying a martyr in jihad, and, well, how can a Muslim not but become a plague rat in all this cause? How? The day may then come where some Jew puts something on the black stone of Mecca, leaving up to Allah, who is to die a martyr in jihad, and who is to be the carrier of such a quote, soldier of Allah pathogen. By the way, since I talked so much about my dad, I will soon post a video link of me reading one of my dad's letters to his childhood friend who became an atheist. The letter was written before he lost his mind to Alzheimer's dementia, and it might get you to come to your own conclusions of why he ended up the way he did. I don't know if it will bring you. I don't know if it'll bring you to being. I don't know if it will bring you to being born again, or have you run away, being that Nabil Qureshi seemed to be a very godly man, yet died from stomach cancer, even though I and so many others were praying and fasting for him. Believe it or not, I found the death of Nabil Qureshi far more disturbing than the death of my beloved dad. To me, Nabil Qureshi was like the most important human being on the planet, yet God had deeper plans for him, which to me only makes sense if my dad was right about a certain thing. If interested in what that thing is, here it is in video form. Okay. And then the next thing I'm going to read is called a monologue to Muslims. And I don't know if I have time to read it. So oh shoot, it's past the time to stop here. Bye.